Buddha's warning: 7 types of people. You should never help. According to Buddhist teachings, have you ever given your time, energy and kindness to someone only to realize that your help was never truly appreciated? Have you repeatedly tried to lift someone up only to watch them remain unchanged, stuck in the same patterns of self-destruction? The reality is, not everyone is ready to be helped. Not everyone seeks growth, and some may even take advantage of your generosity. Buddhism teaches that compassion is one of the highest virtues, but it must be accompanied by wisdom. Helping others is a noble act, but if done without discernment, it can lead to suffering, both for you and the person you are trying to assist. The Buddha emphasized the importance of mindful giving, urging us to recognize the difference between genuine support and enabling harmful behaviors. There is a profound difference between offering a helping hand and allowing ourselves to be drained by those who do not seek true transformation. The Dhammapada, a revered Buddhist scripture, states, "A wise person, recognizing that the world is but an illusion, does not act as if it is real, so he escapes the suffering." This profound teaching reminds us that while kindness is essential, it must be rooted in wisdom. True compassion is not about constantly sacrificing yourself. It is about recognizing when your efforts are meaningful and when they are wasted. Helping the wrong people not only depletes your energy, but can also hinder their personal growth by reinforcing unhealthy patterns. Many people, especially those on a spiritual path, struggle with guilt when it comes to setting boundaries. We are often taught that kindness means always saying yes, that being good means never turning our backs on those in need. But what if I told you that always helping without discernment can actually hinder your spiritual journey? The Buddha himself was clear. We should extend our compassion wisely, ensuring that it aligns with the path of enlightenment rather than reinforcing cycles of ignorance and self-destruction. Even the Buddha set boundaries. He understood the importance of protecting one's peace and preserving one's energy. He advised his followers to avoid toxic relationships, to be mindful of the company they keep, and to recognize when their wisdom would fall on deaf ears. The Dhammapada teaches that one should not attempt to plant seeds in barren soil, meaning that wisdom and effort should only be shared with those who are truly open to receiving it. So why do so many of us struggle to say no? Why do we feel obligated to help, even when it is harming us? Perhaps we fear appearing unkind, or we hold on to the hope that our efforts will eventually create change. However, Buddhism teaches that true wisdom is knowing when to step forward and when to step back. Some people are not looking for help. They are looking for someone to carry their burdens while they continue down an unwholesome path. They do not seek growth. They seek support for their stagnation. If even the Buddha himself set boundaries, why shouldn't we? In this teaching, we will explore the 7 types of people you should never help according to Buddhist principles. These insights are not based on personal opinions, but on timeless wisdom that will transform the way you give, serve, and protect your peace. By understanding these lessons, you will learn how to extend compassion without sacrificing yourself, and how to recognize when your help is truly making a difference. Let us now uncover the 7 types of people you should never help, and why walking away from them might be the most compassionate thing you can do. 1. The lazy and idle beloved. I invite you to listen with an open heart and a discerning mind. There is a profound difference between offering help to those who are genuinely struggling and enabling those who refuse to move forward. It is a delicate balance, one that requires wisdom, not just compassion. Buddhist teachings make it clear, laziness is not merely a passing weakness. It is a deeply ingrained habit, a form of self-sabotage that leads to suffering. The Buddha never encouraged blind generosity without discernment. Instead, he taught that true compassion must be guided by wisdom. The Dhammapada states, "An idle person who does not strive, who is lazy and given to idle talk, who is weak in will and mind, will never find the path to wisdom." This verse reminds us that suffering is not an external punishment imposed by some higher force. Rather, it is often the natural consequence of one's own neglect and inaction. There is a sacred principle in Buddhism known as samavayama, or right effort, one of the essential aspects of the. It means striving for improvement, even in the face of difficulties. Those who refuse to cultivate their own lives, who make no effort to change, will never find true peace. No amount of external assistance can change someone who is unwilling to change themselves. When we continuously rescue the lazy, we interfere with the natural law of cause and effect, karma, which exists to bring correction and growth. Many people mistake enabling for compassion, but understand this. When you financially support someone who refuses to put in effort, you do not bless them, you weaken them. When you constantly bail someone out of trouble, you rob them of the lesson that could lead to their awakening. When you excuse and cover for someone's lack of effort, you prevent them from experiencing the natural consequences of their choices. The Buddha shared a parable about a foolish farmer who refused to till his land. He believed that food would grow on its own, without effort. When famine came, instead of reflecting on his own neglect, he blamed the gods for his suffering. This story serves as a powerful reminder. Those who refuse to cultivate their own lives will eventually lose even what they have. Compassion is not about carrying someone else's burdens indefinitely. It is about offering guidance while allowing them to take responsibility. If you are constantly sacrificing your own well-being to sustain someone who refuses to change, you are not acting in alignment with Buddhist wisdom. You are disrupting their growth. Recognizing the difference: laziness versus genuine struggle. It is important to distinguish between those who are in a temporary, difficult season and those who have made idleness their way of life. The Dhammapada warns, do not associate with lazy, idle people. Their path leads to ruin. But how do we recognize such individuals? Here are some signs. 1. They always have excuses. They constantly explain why they cannot improve their situation, yet they always find time for distractions. 2. They expect others to provide for them. They rely on family, friends, or society to take care of their needs while making little to no effort to contribute. 3. They ignore opportunities. When given chances to improve their circumstances, they find reasons to avoid taking action. 4. They waste resources. Whether it is time, money, or talents, they squander what they have instead of using it wisely. 5. They only seek help in moments of crisis. Instead of taking preventative steps, they wait until disaster strikes and then ask for assistance, only to repeat the cycle again. If you recognize these patterns in someone you are helping, take a step back and reflect. Are you truly aiding their growth, or are you shielding them from the lessons they need to learn? 7. Setting boundaries, a lesson in true compassion. It is not unkind to set boundaries. Even the Buddha did not chase after those who refused his teachings. He understood that forcing wisdom upon the unwilling was futile. Instead, he allowed people to experience the results of their own actions, knowing that sometimes suffering is the only teacher strong enough to spark change. If you have been enabling someone who refuses to take responsibility, it is time to stop. Not out of resentment or anger, but out of love and wisdom. And if you recognize that you have been the lazy one, it is time to awaken. The good news is that transformation is always possible. The Dhammapada tells us, the fool who knows he is a fool is wise in that knowing, but the fool who thinks he is wise is truly a fool. In other words, self-awareness is the first step toward wisdom. If you acknowledge your own complacency and make the effort to change, you can step onto the path of growth and enlightenment. A final challenge: letting go with love. I challenge you to reflect. Who are you helping that you should let go of? If you are constantly exhausted, drained and depleted, it may be a sign that you are carrying burdens that are not yours to bear. Let go, not with bitterness, but with wisdom. Pray for guidance, meditate for clarity, and trust that sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is step aside and allow life itself to be the teacher. Because the truth is, you can never save someone who is committed to staying stuck. There is a kind of person who will receive your sacrifice, your kindness, your time and your love, yet act as if it was owed to them. No thank you, no acknowledgement, no appreciation. Their entitlement speaks louder than their actions, and their silence after receiving reveals the true state of their heart. Ungratefulness is not just a bad habit. It is a symptom of a corrupted mind and a blocked spirit. When someone refuses to acknowledge the kindness they receive, they disrupt the natural balance of giving and receiving, shutting themselves off from the flow of positive energy and abundance. The Buddha himself spoke of this truth in a well-known story. He told of 10 individuals who received help in their time of need. Yet out of the 10, only 1 returned to express gratitude. The Buddha noted that while all had been given the same kindness, only 1 truly understood its value. This story leaves us with a question worth reflecting on. Where are the people who received but never returned? Where are those who were lifted up but never acknowledged the hands that lifted them? Where are the ones who took but never gave thanks? The answer is simple. They remain stuck in their self-centered existence, cut off from the deeper blessings that gratitude could bring them. The nature of ungrateful people, a bottomless pit. Understand this. Gratitude is the mark of a humble and wise heart, while ingratitude is the mark of entitlement and selfishness. In Buddhist philosophy, attachment to self-centered desires blinds people to the kindness they receive. When people refuse to acknowledge blessings, they sever their connection to the flow of positive karma. They live with a mindset of expectation rather than appreciation, always wanting more, but never valuing what they already have. Helping an ungrateful person is like pouring water into a bottomless pit. No matter how much you give, it will never be enough. No matter how much you sacrifice, they will always expect more. And here's the harsh truth. The more you help them, the less they appreciate it. The more you give, the more they demand. Some of you have felt this firsthand. You have poured your time, energy, and resources into people who never even stopped to acknowledge your effort. You have given your best only to be met with indifference, or worse, betrayal. Yes, some people don't just fail to say thank you. They turn around and mistreat the very person who helped them. The Dhammapada warns that those who repay kindness with harm invite suffering upon themselves. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever gone out of your way for someone only for them to act like you never did anything for them? Have you ever been there for someone in their hardest moments, only for them to walk away as if your kindness meant nothing? Have you ever sacrificed for someone only for them to become entitled, expecting more instead of showing gratitude? If you have, you know how draining it is. It's not just emotionally exhausting, it's spiritually damaging. Why you must stop helping the ungrateful. Some of you are weary and depleted because you are constantly trying to please ungrateful people. But listen carefully. Buddha never taught us to be anyone's doormat. He did not call you to waste your energy on those who refuse to appreciate the gift of your kindness. Stop giving your best to people who don't value it. Stop sacrificing for people who don't acknowledge it. Stop allowing people to drain you without a single word of thanks. Buddhist wisdom teaches us to practice right giving in a way that is meaningful, mindful, and beneficial. Giving should not be an act of blind generosity, but an act of wisdom. The Buddha never taught us to endlessly pour into people who refuse to recognize what they have been given. Instead, he taught discernment in our acts of compassion. Gratitude, the key to abundance and spiritual growth. Did you know that gratitude is a key to abundance? When the Buddha received offerings, he always expressed gratitude and taught his disciples to do the same. He understood a simple but powerful truth: gratitude multiplies blessings. The Dhammapada teaches that those who cultivate gratitude attract positive energy, prosperity, and spiritual growth. When you express thanks, you open the door to more blessings. When you appreciate what you have, it increases. When you acknowledge kindness, you create harmony with the universe. But the opposite is also true. When you refuse to appreciate what you have, you block your own progress. When you fail to acknowledge kindness, you disrupt the flow of positive karma. When you take but do not give thanks, you shut the doors to abundance. Some people remain stuck in life, not because of bad luck, but because of their own ingratitude. Some people do not grow because they never took the time to appreciate what they had before asking for more. Walking in wisdom. When to let go. It is not selfish to step back from those who do not value your presence. Even the Buddha did not force his teachings on those who refused to listen. He allowed them to walk their own path and experience the consequences of their choices. So I ask you today, who in your life has been receiving without gratitude? Who have you been sacrificing for that never acknowledges your efforts? Who are you constantly giving to only to be met with entitlement instead of appreciation? Reflect on these questions. Meditate on them. And if you recognize that you have been wasting your energy on the ungrateful, it may be time to let go, not out of resentment, but out of wisdom. Because here is the truth. You cannot teach gratitude to someone who refuses to see the value in what they have. Let them learn. Let them experience life without your constant giving. Let them come to understand through the natural course of cause and effect that gratitude is the key to true abundance. And most importantly, do not let the ingratitude of others make you bitter. Instead, direct your kindness where it will be valued, where it will uplift, and where it will truly make a difference. Because gratitude is not just a virtue, it is the foundation of a life lived in harmony with the Dharma. Number 3. The proud and arrogant Buddhism does not merely caution against pride, it directly warns of its dangers. Pride is deceptive, destructive, and a root cause of suffering. It blinds a person, making them unaware of their own faults, and ultimately leads them down a path of self-sabotage. The Dhammapada states, "A fool who thinks himself wise is no better than an ignorant man." Some people are so full of themselves, so consumed by their own knowledge, achievements, and ways of doing things that they leave no space for humility, no space for correction, and no space for true understanding. They believe they have already arrived, that they already know everything, and that no one can teach them anything. And do you know what happens to a person like that? They fall every single time. The blindness of arrogance. The Buddha taught that arrogance blinds a person to their own shortcomings. He said, "The one who is full of self sees only his own glory, but does not see the suffering he causes." Pride is dangerous because it distorts reality. It creates an illusion of superiority, making a person believe they are above correction, above wisdom, and above the natural laws of cause and effect. But let me tell you something. You cannot fight against reality and win. You cannot defy truth and escape the consequences. Some people are not struggling because of external hardships or bad karma from past lives. Some people are suffering because they refuse to listen. They refuse to take correction. They refuse to humble themselves. And let me tell you something. If you keep trying to help a proud person, you will end up frustrated and exhausted because you cannot save someone who does not believe they need saving. The closed door of pride. I know what you are thinking, but he allowed his pride to consume him. He became jealous of the Buddha's influence and sought to replace him, believing he was more worthy of leadership. In his arrogance, he betrayed the Buddha, attempted to kill him, and led a faction of monks away. And what was the result? His ego destroyed him. His plans failed. His followers abandoned him. His suffering was great. Pride always leads to a downfall. Stop trying to help the proud. Some of you are exhausted right now because you keep trying to help people who refuse to receive help. You keep offering wisdom, but they reject it. You keep trying to lead them, but they resist. You keep warning them, but they refuse to listen. And let me tell you something. You cannot force wisdom onto a fool. The Buddha himself said, "Do not waste your teachings on those who are unwilling to listen, lest they mock and trample upon them." Some people are so arrogant that they will take the wisdom you give them and trample on it. They will mock your advice, dismiss your guidance, and act as if they know better. And if you continue trying to force wisdom on a person who rejects it all, you will do is waste your time, drain your energy, and invite unnecessary stress into your life. Now, I am not saying you should be harsh. I am not saying you should be rude. But I am saying you must use discernment. If you see pride in someone, confront it with kindness. If they refuse to listen, step back and let karma teach them. Because some lessons can only be learned through hardship. Life knows how to humble the proud. There are people in your life right now who refuse to listen. You've tried to help. You've tried to guide. You've tried to warn. But they refuse to hear you. And that's okay, because life knows how to humble the proud. The truth is, some people will never change until they have been humbled. Some people will never listen until they have lost everything. Some people will never wake up until they have suffered the full weight of their own arrogance. And that is not your burden to carry. So if you have been trying to help a person who refuses to listen, step back. Let them walk their path. Let them experience the consequences of their own pride. Because you cannot save a person who is committed to their own destruction, but you can choose to walk in wisdom. You can choose to help those who are open to learning. You can choose to invest your energy where it will truly make a difference. Because pride leads to suffering, but wisdom leads to peace. Choose peace. Number 4. The wicked and sinful. We live in a world where people say that the Buddha teaches compassion for all beings. Yes, that is true. The Dharma calls us to be compassionate, patient, and kind. But hear me, do not confuse compassion with approval. The Buddha does not bless wickedness. He does not encourage ignorance. He does not support unwholesome actions. And he certainly does not reward those who persist in wrongdoing. As practitioners of the Dharma, we are called to walk in wisdom, not foolishness. The Dhammapada makes it clear, if one associates with the wise, one becomes wise. If one associates with fools, one suffers harm. Did you hear that? If you wish to cultivate peace and wisdom, you must be mindful of who you allow into your space. The difference between struggling and embracing wrongdoing. Now let me be clear. We are all beings with defilements. We all have flaws. We all make mistakes. But there is a difference between a person who acknowledges their faults and seeks to change, and a person who refuses to do so. There is a difference between someone who struggles with their negative tendencies and someone who embraces them, defends them, and encourages others to follow suit. A person who is humble enough to recognize their mistakes is capable of growth. But a person who is arrogant, deceitful, and unwilling to change is not on the path of wisdom. The teachings warn us about those who are deceitful, manipulative, and destructive. In the Sigalovada Sutta, the Buddha describes people who pretend to be friends but only take advantage of others. He also speaks of those who spread falsehoods, cause harm, and promote unwholesome actions. These are the individuals who reject wisdom and mock the path of right effort. And let me tell you something, you cannot save a fool. The burden of trying to save a fool. Some of you are frustrated because you keep pouring your wisdom, love, resources, and time into people who are not ready to change. No matter how much you advise them, correct them, or warn them, they keep making the same unwise choices. And let's be real, a fool will drain you, a fool will exhaust you, a fool will pull you into their dysfunction, and worse still, they might even make you look like the unreasonable one because you're constantly trying to help while they reject help every time. Have you ever tried reasoning with a fool? It is like talking to a wall. The Buddha teaches us to be mindful of those who resist wisdom. Do not waste words on those who refuse to listen. They will only turn against you. Some of you keep trying to make sense of people who do not want wisdom. Hear me. A fool does not lack knowledge. A fool lacks humility. It is not that they do not know what is right. It is that they refuse to accept correction. There is a difference between ignorance and arrogance. An ignorant person lacks information, but they are willing to learn. A fool has been given wisdom, but they reject it. That is why they suffer. That is why they repeat the same painful cycles. That is why no amount of teaching, advising, or guiding will change them. Because wisdom does not work on a heart that refuses to receive it. When you keep rescuing a fool, you become part of the cycle. Here is the hard truth. When you keep rescuing a fool, you become part of the cycle. You become their safety net. You cushion their falls. You clean up their messes. And guess what? They will never change. Fools do not seek growth. Fools want relief without transformation. Fools want comfort, not correction. And if you keep trying to save them, they will waste your energy, drain your resources, and blame you when things go wrong. The Buddha's wisdom, walk away. This is why the Buddha advises in the Dhammapada, stay away from fools, for they bring harm upon themselves and others. Read that again. Not only do fools harm themselves, they harm those around them. Some of you need to step back and let life teach them what they refuse to learn from you. Because hear me, you cannot save a fool. Only wisdom and time can humble them. And sometimes, the best thing you can do for a fool is to let them experience the full weight of their choices. Because some people will never change until suffering forces them to. The freedom of letting go. So what do? Stop trying to save people who do not want to be saved. Stop exhausting yourself on those who reject wisdom. Stop throwing away your energy on those who refuse to listen. Walk in wisdom, walk in discernment, walk in peace. Because hear me, letting go is not cruelty. Letting go is trusting that life will teach them what they refuse to learn from you. And when you release yourself from the burden of trying to change those who refuse to change, you will find something you may not have felt in a long time. Freedom. Let the fools go. Let wisdom teach them, and reclaim your peace. Number 6. The dishonest and manipulative. My friends, hear me well. There are some people you should never help. Not because you lack compassion, not because you are unkind, not because you do not care, but because their intentions are not pure. These are not people who come to you in genuine need. These are not people who seek true guidance or support. These are people who see you as an opportunity. They come because they know you have a compassionate heart. They come because they know you will give without questioning. They come because they have learned how to manipulate your kindness. The Buddha warned about manipulative people. Let me tell you something. The Buddha was very clear about dishonest and deceitful people. In the Sigalovada Sutta, he warns about those who flatter to deceive. pretend to be friends while taking advantage of others, manipulate emotions to get what they want. A manipulative person will play with your emotions to gain your sympathy. They will guilt-trip you into giving more than you should. They will twist your kindness and exploit your generosity. They will pretend to be helpless, but it is all part of their act. But hear me, do not be deceived. The Dhammapada states, "A liar is like a withered tree. Without truth, there is no foundation for wisdom." Think about that. A withered tree can bear no fruit. A liar can produce no wisdom. A deceitful person will never bring growth to your life, only suffering. Recognizing those who only take some people only come around when they need something. They are not your friends. They are not seeking wisdom. They show up when they need help, but disappear when you need them. They make promises they never keep. They never take responsibility for their own actions. They expect you to give endlessly, but they offer nothing in return. And if you hesitate, they guilt-trip you. They manipulate your emotions. They act like you are heartless for saying no. But let me ask you, when was the last time they helped you? When was the last time they checked on you without wanting something? When was the last time they offered support without expecting a reward? Some of you are exhausted right now because you have been pouring into people who only drain you. The Buddha did not call you to be deceived. Beloved, the Buddha did not call. He called you to walk in wisdom. Compassion is not the same as naivete. Generosity is not the same as foolishness. If one associates with the wise, one becomes wise. If one associates with fools, one suffers harm. Dhammapada. That means your kindness must be guided by discernment. Help those who are sincere. Give to those who are truly in need. Support those who seek wisdom and growth. But do not let manipulators exploit your compassion. Because hear me, if you keep giving to those who only take, you will have nothing left for those who truly deserve your help. Number 7. The unrepentant. Here's a refined and powerful version of your message, keeping its depth and impact while enhancing clarity and flow. The unrepentant. When to step back and let life teach, beloved. Hear me well. There is a vast difference between someone who struggles with wrongdoing and someone who is unrepentant. There is a difference between a person who falls and gets back up and one who chooses to remain in ignorance. We all falter. We all make mistakes. But the real question is, do we learn? Do we grow? Do we change? The danger of helping those who refuse to change the Dharma is very clear about those who refuse to change. The Dhammapada states, if a man going down into a river, swollen and swiftly flowing, is carried away by the current, how can he help others across? Think about that. How can a drowning man save another? How can someone lost in delusion lead others to wisdom? How can one who refuses to be free help another find liberation? This is a sobering truth. It is one thing to stumble. It is another thing entirely to deliberately continue in wrongdoing after gaining wisdom. Unrepentance is resistance. It is a hardened heart that says, I know what the teachings say, but I don't care, and hear me well. When you try to help someone who is unrepentant, you are not truly helping them. You are enabling their resistance to growth. Some of you have been carrying people whom karma itself is trying to humble. You have been rescuing those whom life is trying to correct. But listen carefully. If you keep interfering with the lessons the universe is trying to teach them, you will end up bearing their burdens while they refuse to change. Some do not want liberation, only comfort. If someone refuses to learn, they will continue to misuse your kindness. You can counsel them. You can offer your wisdom, your love, and your resources. You can guide them toward the path of freedom. But if someone refuses to walk away from harmful choices, no effort on your part will change them. Some people don't truly want freedom. They just want comfort in their suffering. They don't seek real growth. They seek pity. They don't want to be guided. They want validation. But listen closely. No one can free a person who refuses to let go of their own chains. As the Dhammapada teaches, those with little wisdom become their own worst enemies, trapped by their own actions, bringing suffering upon themselves. There comes a time when advice no longer helps. Not all suffering comes from the outside. Some pain is the result of stubbornness, of refusing to see the truth. Karma and ignorance have their consequences. The Buddha taught deep compassion, but he also taught wisdom. He was patient, but he never held back the truth from those unwilling to hear it. The law of karma is simple. Your actions shape your life. Your choices lead to either corruption or purification. No one else is responsible for your path, only you. No one can cleanse another's soul. Dhammapada 165. This means that when someone refuses to change, they are choosing their own path towards suffering. And let me tell you, life has a way of humbling those who won't listen. Step back and let life be their teacher. Beloved, understand this. The universe always gives warnings before it delivers consequences. It offers wisdom before it brings suffering. But if a person keeps ignoring the truth, rejecting guidance and resisting growth, they will eventually bear the full weight of their choices. The Buddha never forced anyone to walk the path. He simply revealed the way. If someone refuses to change, they will have to face the results of their own actions. And sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is step aside. Let them reach rock bottom. Let life humble them. Let karma do its work. Let suffering teach them the wisdom they refuse to learn. Because hear me, you cannot save someone who does not want to be saved. When to step back, wisdom in helping others. In Buddhism, the story of Angulimala mirrors the parable of the prodigal son. He was a merciless killer, lost in ignorance until he crossed paths with the Buddha. But notice this, the Buddha didn't chase after him, didn't try to force change. He simply spoke the truth. And only when Angulimala was ready to listen did he find enlightenment. This teaches us something important. Some people won't change until they feel the full weight of their actions. Some won't seek redemption until they are completely broken. Some won't listen until they've lost everything. And if you keep rescuing them before they awaken, you're only delaying the lesson life is trying to teach them. So what should you do instead? Pray for them. Ask for wisdom and compassion to guide them. Speak truth, but don't force it. Share wisdom, but don't argue. Set boundaries. Don't let their resistance drain you, emotionally, financially, or spiritually. Let karma take its course. Because for some, struggle is the only road to transformation. And some of you have been pouring your time and energy into people who refuse to grow. You've been drained by those who are determined to resist change. But today, wisdom calls you to step back. It's time to let go. It's time to stop fighting for those who won't fight for themselves. And for those who have been resisting change, listen carefully. If you've been the one refusing to change, hear this. It's not too late. Wisdom is still within reach. The path is still open. But don't wait until suffering forces you to grow. Don't let pride block your transformation, because the longer you resist, the harder your heart becomes. The universe is always teaching. But will you listen before it's too late? Be kind, but be wise, beloved. We are called to be generous, but we are also called to be discerning. If you've been giving to the lazy, the entitled, the ungrateful, and the dishonest, it's time to rethink where you invest your energy. Because hear me, there are people who are truly ready to grow. There are those who will cherish your kindness. There are those who will use what you give them to grow. There are those who will listen, learn, and transform. But if you keep pouring all your energy into people who refuse to change, you'll have nothing left for those who truly need it. Here's a challenge for you today. Pause and seek wisdom. Ask yourself, am I helping the right people? Am I investing in those who are open to growth? Or am I wasting my efforts? Because when you give to the right people, you'll witness change. When you invest in those ready to grow, you'll see results. When you support those who truly seek transformation, you'll see real progress. Be wise, be discerning, and trust the universe to handle those who refuse to listen. For more wisdom on growth and transformation, tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. Some people won't change until they feel the full weight of their actions. Some won't seek redemption until they are completely broken. Some won't listen until they've lost everything. And if you keep rescuing them before they awaken, you're only delaying the lesson life is trying to teach them. So what should you do instead? Pray for them. Ask for wisdom and compassion to guide them. Speak truth, but don't force it. Share wisdom, but don't argue. Set boundaries. Don't let their resistance drain you, emotionally, financially, or spiritually. Let karma take its course. Because for some, struggle is the only road to transformation. And some of you have been pouring your time and energy into people who refuse to grow. You've been drained by those who are determined to resist change. But today, wisdom calls you to step back. It's time to let go. It's time to stop fighting for those who won't fight for themselves. And for those who have been resisting change, listen carefully. If you've been the one refusing to change, hear this. It's not too late. Wisdom is still within reach. The path is still open. But don't wait until suffering forces you to grow. Don't let pride block your transformation, because the longer you resist, the harder your heart becomes. The universe is always teaching. But will you listen before it's too late? Be kind, but be wise, beloved. We are called to be generous, but we are also called to be discerning. If you've been giving to the lazy, the entitled, the ungrateful, and the dishonest, it's time to rethink where you invest your energy. Because hear me, there are people who are truly ready to grow. There are those who will cherish your kindness. There are those who will use what you give them to grow. There are those who will listen, learn, and transform. But if you keep pouring all your energy into people who refuse to change, you'll have nothing left for those who truly need it. Here's a challenge for you today. Pause and seek wisdom. Ask yourself, am I helping the right people? Am I investing in those who are open to growth? Or am I wasting my efforts? Because when you give to the right people, you'll witness change. When you invest in those ready to grow, you'll see results. When you support those who truly seek transformation, you'll see real progress. Be wise, be discerning, and trust the universe to handle those who refuse to listen. For more wisdom on growth and transformation, tap the notification bell so you never miss an update.